Introduction. Why I wrote this book. Long before I went to graduate school, I knew I wanted to be a family therapist. I had been working as a teacher in a school for children with developmental delays in southern Colorado, and I discovered something amazing. When we drove out to the students' distant rural home, met with their parents, and told them how much we enjoyed their kid, it created a profound difference in how the children performed. They went from defeated, depressed, unmotivated students to happy, engaged kids. I knew then and there that a magical transformation power existed within families, and I wanted to learn how to tap into it. To this day, I am an active student in the field of family therapy, and although I've studied the work of many of the greats in our field, I have focused mostly on structural family therapy and the work of renowned psychiatrist Salvador Minuchin and his colleagues. In his book, Families and Family Therapy, Minuchin, 1974, described the repetitive pattern of behavior within families that underscore neither healthy functioning or potential problem. He documented the importance of a well-functioning hierarchy in families in order for children to grow up with appropriate structure. He used a variety of technique to break the problematic family pattern and replace them with new and healthier pattern. I received a training in this model at the Philadelphia Child Guidance Clinic, PCGC, under Minuchin's directorship. Later, when I was the program manager for an outpatient adolescent counseling center, one of the PCG trainers, child psychiatrist John Sargent, trained our therapist in this approach. Whether I studied structural family therapy or any other family therapy approach, one thing was clear: patterns of behavior within families are powerful and enduring. The art and practice of family therapy is based on helping families transform ongoing negative patterns into positive ones. There are volumes written on the subject, but there is simply no easy answer about how to accomplish this. With 38 years of experience, I now have much more success transforming these patterns than I used to, but it's taken a lot of practice, trial and error, training and commitment, and it still isn't easy. You may have noticed the recent proliferation of books on the subject of parenting in general, and more specifically on parenting teenagers. The modern era of the subject of parenting goes back perhaps to notable pediatrician Benjamin Spock, who in 1946 published the Common Sense book of baby and child care, one of the top-selling books of all time. Prior to Spock, behaviorists advised that responding to infant requests would spoil them and leave them ill-prepared for the real world. I wonder to this day if my mother would have picked me up when I cried as an infant had she not read this book. Since that time, the growth and development of this field has given parents valuable information to better understand their children and teens and learn strategy to help them grow in healthy ways. It has also created a forum for discussion about our values related to raising kids. But too often, this parenting advice does not actually address the serious struggles that many families have. The reason for this has everything to do with the power of persistence in relationships and relationship pattern. In struggling families, even if the primary struggle is between one parent and only one of several kids, everyone in the family will become involved in and affected by the struggle. That's how powerful and pervasive relationship patterns can be. So I decided to write a book to help parents understand the power of negative relationship patterns in families and learn how to change them. Because childhood and adolescence offer such different challenges, and because these negative relationship patterns so often emerge during the teen years, I have focused this book on families raising teenagers. Since I've spent my career coaching, studying, and working with these relationship patterns, I've become quite adept at seeing them. When I first meet a family, I gather information about each family member and discover their unique strengths, Then I ask about the problem the family has come to talk with me about. After a while, the family members begin to interact with each other in their natural way, and the relationship patterns emerge. That's where we find the opportunity to create real and lasting change, transforming the negative relationship pattern into a positive one. I've come to call this negative relationship pattern the control battle, and the control battle is what this book is all about. You'll discover that I have created a personification of the control battle that I refer to as the beast. I've chosen to do this at the risk of sounding corny or gimmicky because the enduring negative pattern in families is the real culprit. It's the real cause of the pain and the suffering that goes on. It's not the kid, it's not the parent, it's the pattern, and it's so real for me that it seems to come alive almost as an entity in itself. When we personify the control battle, it helps us understand how real and powerful it is, and it also helps us see that it's this beast who is the enemy, not any one member of our family. Early in my career, in my efforts to help the adults take charge in families where teens were acting out and being unaccountable, I often emphasized the need for a strong parental voice accompanied by strong action. My goal to support parental authority was worthy, but my tactic tended to strengthen the hidden control battle that lived between parents and kids. Later, I became a father myself, or mother, and this brought out my softer, gentler side, little by little. As I gained experience both as a therapist and as a father came, I learned that a nurturing hierarchy could be established and maintained far more effectively with love and support than with heavy-hand, authoritarian tone. Over the course of my career, I've gained valuable insight into the specific element that create and support control battle, as well as some effective ways to end them. In fact, this has been my life's work. I use this knowledge and experience to help the families I see, and I've shared this information with countless middle and high school parents, speaking in school auditoriums for many years, and now I'm sharing it to you. This book is not a substitute for counseling or therapy, but it can help you decide if counseling is needed, guide you toward the right kind of help for your situation, and augment and reinforce any professional help you're receiving. To help you determine whether counseling is needed, please visit newharbinger.com and read the online chapter, Should I Consider Counseling? As we'll talk about in Chapter 2, Adolescence, an invitation to the control battle. The teen years are the bridge between childhood and the young adulthood. Parenting a teenager must be approached in a way that facilitates this transition. While this book is designed to help parents and teens already locked in a control battle, it will also give you the knowledge and the skills you need to help your teen do the growing he or she needs to do and avoid the pitfalls of future control battles. What will you find in these pages? Part 1 of Ending the Parent-Teen Control Battle provides an in-depth understanding of what the control battle is and how it develops. Part 2 gives you the specific skills to end the control battle, and Part 3 addresses advanced applications for specific common issue. Although there are many psychological conditions that can invite control battle, I focused on just a few that I most commonly see in my practice. 2 chapters in Part 3 were heavily influenced by 2 important professional relationships I've developed, which deserve mention. I met John Fleming, the owner and the director of Developmental Learning Solutions of Santa Cruz and San Jose, California in the early 1990s. John is an educational therapist whose clinic assesses, diagnoses, and provides a host of resources for kids with learning disabilities. Prior to meeting and working with John, I had been struggling to help certain kids and families who were locked in a control battle around schoolwork. When John and I began working together, I came to see that when these kids' learning needs were assessed, understood, and addressed in a way that utilized the ending the control battle model, struggling kids and families were able to get back onto the road to health and success. I realized I had a powerful new response to the control battle that would help dismantle it. You can learn more about this in Chapter 9, Learning Disabilities and ADHD. Another important professional relationship I developed was with Mark Burdick, an educational and a clinical psychologist who specializes in therapeutic placements for at-risk adolescents and young adults. Prior to meeting and working with Mark, I had a bias against placing teens with seriously destructive behaviors in programs away from their homes. After all, from my perspective as a family theorist and a therapist, how does sending a kid with behavior problems to a program do anything to change the negative relationship patterns in the family? Through many conversations, I learned that Mark strongly agrees with me that to be effective, the manner in which teenagers are placed, along with the programs themselves, needs to help families change negative relationship patterns into positive ones. This way, the teens can be safe while both they and their families receive the help and the support they need to be successful when the teenagers return home. I also learned that different programs are best suited for certain kids, and finding the right program makes all the difference in the success of the outcome. There is more on this chapter in Chapter 11, when your teen is seriously out of control. As an adjunct to this book, I have also written a chapter for your teen to read called For Teens Only, which you will find online at newharbinger.com. This chapter will provide your teen with an understanding of what a healthy path forward for a teenager really is. It includes much of the information you'll find in this book, but in terms that are geared toward teenagers. For you to benefit most from this book, it will be important to start at the beginning and read consecutively through Chapter 7, Self-Esteem and Happiness. That way, you'll have a strong understanding of the ending, the parent-teen control battle model. Then, if you want to go ahead to a chapter that focuses on an application of the model to a specific circumstance, you will be well prepared to absorb that material. Once you have read the first 7 chapters and your teen has read For Teens Only, you'll be ready to sit down together, discuss what you've read and how it applies to your family, and commit to making healthy changes. You might ask each other these questions. Are there ways in which we have a control battle? Do we have a beast in our relationship? If we do have one, what are the 1 or 2 things we could each do that would starve the beast? If we don't have one, what are the 1 or 2 things we need to keep doing or do more of to keep the beast away? So if you're at your wit's end and tired of the constant struggle with your teen, be assured that the powerful insights, interventions, and the tools you will need to move forward are all right here. This book will help take the pressure off you to get your teen to perform, and will put that responsibility squarely in the hand of your teen, which is where it belongs. With this important shift, you will be able to build a relationship of trust and respect and thoroughly enjoy these teen years before launching your son or daughter into the world